Welcome to the Carnivore Cast, the podcast focused on the carnivore diet and lifestyle, with practical advice from successful carnivores, citizen scientists, and top researchers. I'm your host, Scott Meslinski, and I'm here to speak with experts and experienced carnivores to get answers to your biggest and meatiest questions while helping you live your best life as a carnivore. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the Carnivore Cast on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll help us reach more people and continue to create content on carnivore. There are also exclusive perks available, such as private Q&As, consultations with me, and more. Become a supporter at patreon.com/carnivorecast. Check the episode description for the link. Thank you, and I'll see you there. Debbie Wagner, Fat Fueled at 50, is a certified keto coach through Maria and Craig Emmerich and host of the Fat Fueled at 50 podcast. Debbie suffered from bulimia for over 30 years before discovering keto and now carnivore and finally freeing herself from food. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Yeah, excited to have you on. So what's your story? Let's just start there. Tell us how you got sick and how you discovered this whole keto and carnivore thing.
Yeah, I'd love to share my story. It's pretty, I think it's compelling. But, I grew up in the era. I'm in my 50s now. Hard to say out loud because I don't feel it. But I grew up in the fat phobic era, tried all kinds of diets. And when I got to college, I remember my very first roommate, super thin girl, and seemed to eat a lot. Well, she was bulimic. And instead of me being appalled by that, I thought, my answers are prayed. My prayers are answered. Sorry. And I just thought it was fantastic. Wow, you can eat to satiety and be nice and full, and then you just purge. And I literally just, started that way. I taught myself how to throw up my food after I ate, following her. It was actually, looking back at it, so sick. But for me, it was a way to actually feel full and then not gain the weight. And it became a lifelong struggle of 30 years of trying to quit, never being satisfied, always fighting the 10 pounds on, off, trying to use bulimia as a control for all that and keeping it from my family. I had kids through it, 30 years. And I was thumbing through Facebook out of all things, and I started seeing things about intermittent fasting and started doing more research. And I found Jimmy Moore's book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. And before keto, I actually was fasting, just knuckling through a long fast, trying to wait till the evening to eat. But that soon led into discovering keto. When you listen to Jimmy Moore, you realize, okay, if you go keto. And I had done Atkins in 1996 after my son was born. And so I knew, it just was aha moment after, I saw the science and I thought, this makes so much sense. You can control insulin and appetite control, lowering your carbs. So that led me into keto. And what I noticed after fasting and keto is the binges stopped. And of course, the bulimia stopped shortly thereafter. With a little bit of help, I did get a book, which I want to mention because sometimes bulimia, even though you're satiated, it could be habitual and it's more of just a habit of overeating, and you can overeat keto food. So I discovered the book Brain Over Binge by Catherine Hansen, and that helped a lot too.
That's great.
And so, so the disordered eating went away, and I got so passionate, everything keto. I started a blog, I started a podcast, I'm working full time. So it's really hard to, get my story out there. For me, I'm not so great with Instagram, and it's just been a little bit of a challenge, me trying to get my story out. But I just try to help anybody I can see. As a physician's assistant, I see a lot of patients with a lot of medical problems, and I'm always trying to spread the good word in my own way.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I can't imagine what it must have been like struggling with bulimia for that long.
Yeah.
But it seems like it started as, in your mind, a very positive thing. Can you
Yeah.
talk about, just kind of describe what it's like to live with bulimia for someone who hasn't had it, if you can? I know how hard that is, or someone who hasn't been close with someone who has it.
Yeah. It's very secretive. You feel so ashamed. You wake up the next morning and all you could think of is, wow, I can't believe I did that yesterday. I feel horrible. And you're always sneaking around, it's also like you can't control when to stop eating. You're never satiated. So it's almost embarrassing too. If I was at a party and there were just say a bowl of nuts, everybody would have a couple and I would be like trying to eat the whole thing. And sometimes you would just wait till you get home, to eat a lot more and then purge. It's very secretive. It's very easily hidden. And just shameful. You just, your self-worth just goes down and it's just, it's horrible. Yeah. And you're not really hiding it from everybody, although I got pretty good at it over the last 30 years. I remember in the beginning, I wasn't hiding it really well. And people were like, why are you going to the bathroom after you ate so much? And how are you staying so thin? And then you just get really good at hiding it.
Yeah, that sounds very mentally taxing. And you said it's still possible to overeat on keto, which I totally agree with. How was the transition like to keto? Did that help at all with the bulimia? Or was it still a major issue for you?
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Crazy dogs. And here I came upstairs to be nice and private. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry.
Okay. Sorry about that. Very, very disruptive. And the dog is so tiny you would crack up laughing. Big
Easy
bark,
yapper.
those little dogs. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, no problem. You said it's still possible to overeat on keto. So it sounds like maybe the bulimia was still lingering. Is that correct? Or did keto help at all?
It's very much habitual. So I found, okay, now I'm, eating keto and my appetite's very much controlled, but I still would get the urges to overeat the keto foods and then purge that. And it's funny. So I thought this is crazy because I'm not eating now because I'm starving. I'm not overeating because, my body needs anything. I'm overeating because it's delicious. And I might have still had some healing to do. The insulin and the leptin levels might not have been, perfect. But in the beginning, I remember, wow, I'm overeating this. I'll just purge. And so I'm not sure how I discovered Brain Over Binge. I must have been, searching the web and I found this book and bought it right away. And it made so much sense how those voices, she calls it the primitive brain versus the real brain, and that you don't have to listen to that voice that says, okay, overeat, don't worry about it, you can purge. And as soon as you become aware of that, you realize you don't have to act upon those, she calls them like primitive thoughts, because they're not your real thoughts. And so I read that book, and along with that book and being satiated, it just was the magic combination for me.
That's
and
amazing.
I was easily able to stop binging and purging.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how did you evolve from keto to carnivore, and how has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, that's been such a fun transition. I thought keto was great. But I was still, I never wanted to count macros. I'm, being, in the 80s and 90s, always counting and keeping track. That was my one stipulation with keto, was I don't want to really keep track of all that anymore. So I still was, just eating to satiety and having, fasting most of the day and having my one meal. And then, I started looking into these people that were doing carnivore, you and Amber O'Hearn. And I thought, you know what, let me just try it. And I'm so glad I did. And I'm recent in the carnivore realm. I'm still trying to figure out all the nose to tail. But I found my appetite was even more I guess, satiated. Like you can't eat too much meat, you know,
Right.
your body kind of tells you more. And I just become more in tune with how I feel. And carnivore for me was just, I don't think I'll ever go back. I don't know if I'll go as far as eating raw, but I've really been enjoying carnivore.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And can you talk about, other than the satiety, are there any other things you were struggling with, health-wise that changed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can go on and on with that. Well, first, I had a very bad tremor, an essential tremor. An essential tremor is just one that there's really no known cause. But I noticed I'm very active. I play tennis, I lift weights, and especially after activity, I noticed my tremor was getting, it was bad. And with the fasting and keto, I noticed, wow, my tremor is totally diminishing. And I have an identical twin sister who really struggles staying on keto because she has a very active social life. She drinks a lot more. We call her lazy keto. And I noticed when she came to visit, her tremor was 10 times worse than mine. And I was like, Amy, you've got to stick to keto. And she's like, I know. It's just so much harder for me. And then when I went carnivore, and I was writing things down and holding heavy cups, and I noticed my tremor is completely gone. I don't have my essential tremor anymore.
Wow.
So that was huge. And on top of that, being 50, I hit the old menopause age, and I hate saying that out loud. I don't know why. Getting older is a blessing, but I was getting hot flashes like crazy, and those are gone. Like not diminished, not, just once in a while. Like my hot flashes just completely went away. And that was even with keto, but I'm a pretty strict keto girl. I mean, I don't cheat. I'm not lazy keto, but when I went carnivore, same thing. I feel so good on carnivore.
Yeah.
And the little aches and pains, the little arthritis. I was listening and she was talking about this arthritic toe she had. And I had the same exact thing. My great toe was broken about 5 years ago. And after tennis, I would literally come limping off the court because this great toe was throbbing. And it is gone. And I had it x-rayed. I was about to have, steroid injections in there. I was actually thinking of protein-enriched plasma being injected. That's how painful it was on a daily basis. And I don't know exactly when I noticed it was gone, but it's completely gone. Like couldn't tell you which toe it was.
That's
I think
amazing.
It was my right great toe. But I swear it was one of those things where I'm like, what doesn't this cure? This is how we were meant to eat.
Yeah. It's really freeing. And I'm glad to hear you've had such success with it. And can you talk, Debbie, about kind of what carnivore looks like for you? You know, how do you incorporate some things around, how much do you eat? What types of foods, fasting, coffee, supplements, organs, etc.?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Let's see. So I start off, I'll kind of give you a day in a life of how
Perfect.
I eat and tell you like how I, make certain things and prep food. But I stopped coffee. I was never I was never like crazy coffee girl, but I did enjoy, especially when I first started keto, I started the wrong way with all the fats and the bulletproof coffees. And I really did enjoy that. And then more research, and I got my keto certification through the Emmerichs. I'm like, why am I drinking my fat? That's bad. They don't like that. So I stopped the bulletproof coffees, and I was just drinking black coffee. And then through, podcasts and studying and learning, I read about L-carnitine and 1,000 milligram. They come in 1,000 milligram pills, and I just take a couple L-carnitine in the morning along with some glycine, and sometimes I make like a little electrolyte drink where I mix Everly powder, some salt, some no salt to get a little potassium. And I just start out my day with that. And I do find the L-carnitine gives me that boost that coffee used to give me.
Wow.
And then my first meal is usually around 2:00 in the afternoon. It really, really depends because now I'm starting to cut off my eating window because I want to get good sleep, which I don't have an Oura ring. I really, really want one, but I like to stop eating by 6 o'clock. So my first meal has actually moved up. It used to be 2, 3 o'clock. I just wasn't hungry. But now that I cut my window down to stop eating by 6 p.m., I sometimes break my fast around noon, 1 o'clock, and I'll have ground beef cooked with some butter. And I do sprinkle on a little bit of feta cheese, and I have about a pound of that. And then my second meal is usually the same kind of thing, because I love it right now and I'm not tired of it. But I make this liver pate, and what did my mom used to call it growing up? We used to call it chopped liver. And she used to make it all the time. So I called her and I'm like, how did you make that chopped liver? Because I have to start eating liver now that I'm carnivore. And I use chicken livers right now. I am going to work my way up to beef liver, but you take the chicken livers and you saute it in butter with onions, and you get it nice and, soft. I'd say 5-10 minutes of cooking. I get the onions in there first to get them almost caramelized. And then in a food processor, you just mix hard-boiled eggs, salt, and the cooked liver and onions, and you just, pulverize it to kind of a mush. It's delicious. And I always add a couple of scoops of that to my ground beef to get my liver in. And those are basically, and then I'm done eating by 6, and I've just found I'm so satiated and I've been sleeping pretty good. And I supplement with some vitamin K2, and magnesium, and vitamin D3 if I don't get sunshine.
Yeah, that's great. I have a similar experience with giving up coffee. It was really remarkable how good I felt on carnivore without coffee. I think there's just that natural energy in the morning. I don't know what nutrients provide that, or if it's just a matter of not relying on sugar as much. But yeah, it feels really good to wake up even without coffee.
It's something. Yeah, and it happened so naturally. It's not like I said, okay, coffee's bad, I need to give it up. It's kind of, I went carnivore and noticed I wanted my electrolyte drink in the morning. And I was like, I'm really not in the mood for coffee. It just happened that way. And then I noticed, a week later, I'm like, I have not had coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Very natural.
And Debbie, you mentioned a few times the certification with the Emirates. Can you talk a little about what that entails and how you became a coach and why?
Yeah. The why is because I thought, I want to help as many people as I can. And I thought it would look really good if I was actually a certified keto coach. More people would come to me. Meanwhile, I'm helping all my friends and my family, and I could have probably done that without the certification, but I just wanted to delve into the science more. And I discovered them. And I started, following her website, and I just loved everything she said, and everything both of them said made so much sense to me. So their course, was, all online, and it was many, many videos, and you could go at your own pace. And then you took a big test at the end, and I learned so much through that course. It was incredible. They're very thorough. And their videos just, step you through everything. And it was like being in a classroom, but it was all done online. And I just felt really good about getting the certification so that people could say, hey, who are you to tell me to eat like this? And now I could say, well, I'm a certified keto coach. That's why I can tell you. The course was great. And I learned so much. There's so much misinformation out there, especially the, how much fat you need to get. And, his whole speech on the fat flux made a lot of sense to me, because I think I was getting a little bit too much fat for me, even though I was not tracking. So I can't really give you numbers, but I consciously just stopped drinking my fat. I add fat to flavor the food rather than just to get the fat for fat, Yeah.
Yeah, I have immense respect for both of the Emmerichs. I had the chance to meet Maria in person at a keto meetup in Boston.
I'm so jealous
she's wonderful,
right now.
and such a really friendly and welcoming person, and so knowledgeable. And then Craig had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I loved speaking with him. He's
incredibly
knowledgeable and also very, very friendly.
Yeah, that podcast was great. I listened to it. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And what are you looking forward to working on, and where can people find out more about you, Debbie?
Well, I have a little website, fatfueledat50.com, which I haven't been blogging very often. I need to get back on there. It's so difficult. But right now I'm kind of living more on Instagram. I'm figuring out how to use Instagram a lot better, and following so many people now on Instagram. Especially I went through your podcast and found so many more people to listen to. I'm obsessed with the Strong Sisters.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, their podcast
Ashley
was
and Sarah,
amazing,
great.
And now I'm hooked on them. And the biohacking chick.
Yep, Sylvia.
Yep, Sylvia. Oh my gosh, she is something. But anyway, so I'm trying to get on Instagram. If anybody wants to reach out to me, it's fatfueledat50 is my Instagram handle, and I'm trying to just put more videos on there and telling people what I'm doing. And I really did just start this whole carnivore journey of mine. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to start documenting more of different foods I'm going to try and different recipes. I'm dying to try did you see their carnivore waffles?
Yeah.
They take ground beef, 4 ounces. I actually have it memorized because I was watching their YouTube today. That's another thing. I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't been on there recently. But my goal is to get on social media and just keep posting and giving information out because it transformed my world. But, back to the waffles. They take ground lamb, 4 ounces of ground lamb or ground beef, 3 raw eggs, salt to taste, and you blend that up in a blender. What was the liquid they added? Now I can't think. I just said I had it memorized. And then they put it in a waffle iron.
Yeah, so simple.
With butter. It's crazy. I can't wait to try it. So I'm going to post stuff like that and, of course, give them all the credit. But I'm dying to try those waffles. And,
that's great.
So I just want to reach as many people as I can and show them even at 50, you can cure yourself from a disordered eating life. You can get rid of aches and pains and anything else out there bad. It seems to be curing everything.
Yeah. It's really, really remarkable. And Debbie, I'll link to all that in the show notes on carnivorecast.com. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it too.
Great. Have a good one.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the Carnivore Cast on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll help us reach more people and continue to create content on carnivore. There are also exclusive perks available, such as private Q&As, consultations with me, and more. Become a supporter at patreon.com/carnivorecast. Check the episode description for the link. Thank you, and I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Carnivore Cast. If you enjoyed this episode, please review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And share it with a friend. What questions would you like answered, or who would you like to hear from in the carnivore research community? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Carnivore Cast, or go to carnivorecast.com. You can also email me at info@carnivorecast.com. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep it carnivore.